Nobody wanted us to farm. My parents didn't want us to farm. Nate's parents didn't want us to farm. They all thought that we were crazy, that our food would be too expensive for Southeast Indiana. And of course, that was our concern too. I was told very clearly to get an education and get off the farm. I was a 10-year member of 4-H, which is a badge of honor here. But the point was never to become a farmer. The point was to build out other leadership skills so that I could get off the farm and go make a living. Nate had a very different experience, which was being a city kid, but working on a farm one summer in high school.
Yeah, my first job was on a farm, and so a farm was 1,000 acres of corn. We were doing the jobs they didn't want to do, stuff that made me realize, I never want to be a farmer. I didn't know that a farm reflected a farmer.
We'd worked on other people's farms for about 5 years up in Maine and Vermont and New York, and loved it, but felt like if we stayed, we'd be a dime a dozen. And we felt like if we came home, we might have a chance of really being of use. So we moved home 10 years ago. We started really small, so we took over 13 acres. We started that first year with 4 pigs and 300 meat chickens and 45 turkeys, and that was it. We just wanted to see if anybody would pay for good food. And they did. And every year we kept selling out and we kept growing, and that's been paying off. Sometimes we worry that we don't count as agroforestry because silvopasture is sort of I think, the very easiest agroforestry practice. You're raising animals on pasture, give them shade. Why not make another crop happen in that same space? Just layer it on.
You drive by a pasture, and if there's one tree and 50 cows, all 50 cows are under that one tree. Like if you just look, something's gonna teach you the way that it makes sense to do it.
So what we do is rotational grazing, and that looks different for each of our different animal groups.
Yep.
So like sheep, we're moving every 2 to 4 days, pigs every 3 to 5 days using electric net. And then the turkeys, the laying hens, and the meat chickens all have shelters that we move along with them. Those mobile shelters are a huge, huge piece of what we do. We just learned how to build those on other people's farms, sort of adapted them to Indiana. They get some shade from them, but this last year with our meat chickens, we had our first little bits of shade from our tree planting, which was very exciting. I think we'll have a lot more next year, and it's just gonna go up from there. And we are very much in establishment phase. And so for us, that means tree plantings, and that means raising animals between and around those tree plantings. So we're not making any money from trees just yet. That's not what I think we want to imagine for agroforestry, but it is the reality. Like, we will be in establishment phase for a while, and we're also simultaneously in full production phase of a livestock operation. And it's from animals raised in an ethical way, in a way that's sequestering carbon, in part because of silvopasture. And it's a really high quality of life for them and for us. It was a no-brainer, as far as I'm concerned, to implement agroforestry here.
I think we're happiest in our journey when we can share it with others. To meet the people that we wouldn't have met without Savannah Institute is huge.
The beauty of the apprenticeship program, as far as we're concerned, is we get a chance to be paired with folks who really want to learn about perennial agriculture in the Midwest. What that means is we get to put out into the world via Savannah Institute what we have to offer. What is the learning opportunity here? And then folks apply. We've had applicants from New Hampshire and California come here. We've interviewed people from Hawaii, but also from our hometown. And so then some of them come and they live and work here. So we're paying them and providing room and board, and they get a taste over the course of 10 weeks of what it is to farm in the way we do, which is only one iteration of what agroforestry can look like, but it's one that works here. We're sharing lessons learned in failures and successes, and hopefully they leave with a little more knowledge about what it is they want to do.
We knew that the goal was to come back here and start a farm. So the closer it got to coming back here, we started dreaming, let's envision our farm. And part of that was naming it. sit down with a glass of bourbon and a book of Wendell-Berry poetry, and you'll name your farm. And that is exactly what happened. And I think it was that first evening.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah. The meat and bones of the poem are about a farmer sitting up on the hilltop at the end of the day.
The hill pasture, an open place among the trees, tilts into the valley.
Looking down at cows in the pasture.
Slow and preoccupied as stars.
One of the lines towards the end was, ahead of nightfall, birds sing. And, we just realized at the end of the day, you're sitting back and you can see the progress you've made over the course of the day. You can see the difference you've made, and the birds get happy and they start talking, and we start talking about what we've done and what we're happy about. And I feel like Nightfall Farm's a good name, and I think it feels like a good fit for us. Like, we feel like we did it right.
We're not doing anything special. This is all doable by anybody, anywhere,